I think we missed our cue, guys. We're off to a roaring and blazing start here on this fine Thursday evening. But you know what? We don't need an intro song. We don't need any of that jazz. We got the vibes. That's what we're here for. We got Christian down there, way down there in the small box. So the vibes are here. How you doing, guys? You're listening to the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network on the Riptide Media Network. This is the Lastella Report. I'm Robbie Lastella with my co-hosts, Christian down there in the box, as I said, Tobey Schulman and Drew Shula joining us tonight, and joining the Bleacher Brothers reporting team here recently. So it's been fun to have Drew on our squad, and we'll dive into, we'll dive right into what Drew's been doing, and Christian too the past couple of days. We'll touch on baseball tonight. We'll touch on a little bit of basketball towards the end. It's been slow a little bit in basketball, not much going on. Hopefully something picks up soon. But it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, and then Saturday is the spring game. But before we get to that, guys, how you doing?
I'm good, Robbie. It's been a long day for me, but I'm excited to be here as always. And yeah, I mean, just happy to be here.
Doing well. Thank you guys for having me on today. Very excited. Been having fun with Robbie and Christian covering some FAU football this spring. So yeah, excited to get into it tonight.
Yeah, no, today's been pretty good. Right now, for all the viewers that see my camera, I'm sitting in my car because I was not somewhere with good service. So we're making ends meet right now. Bear with me.
Well, Christian, we're glad to have you on hand, even though you're down there in the midget box. But no, so yeah, we have the whole FAU team on hand. It's an FAU edition of the Lastella Report tonight. Um, I'm excited. Football is back. Football. I mean, it's before basketball really started blowing up here at FAU, I was going to all the football games. Diehard football fan, and I guess I was going to the basketball games too. But I love football a lot, and I'm happy to have the spring game back. I'm happy to be reporting on it one last time here. But it's been good. There's competition everywhere. Quarterback competition, whole group of running backs new receivers inbound, four new offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers. There's a bunch of continuity, DBs as well. But on the offensive side of the ball, it's new, and new, in my opinion, is fun and exciting. Especially the quarterback position, right? We got Tyreek Starks, we got Cam Fancher. The battle is going to be fun. So Drew and Christian have been out there this week. I was out there the last 2 weeks before that. But Drew, Christian, we'll go to Drew first, then Christian. What have the vibes been like this week? Does everyone seem excited for the spring game? Are you guys excited for the spring game? It's probably going to be hot.
Yeah, I'm very. It's always hot. It's always hot, especially in Boca Raton, FAU Stadium. The spring game is always hot, but yeah, the vibes are there. A lot of newcomers, fresh faces from some prolific programs. There's a lot of competition. You said it. There's a ton of competition. There will be, just off the top of my head, 4 new offensive line starters, a new running back, 3 new receiving starters. So probably, and a new quarterback starter. So about 9 new starters on the offense. So it'll be excited to see some new faces in the FAU program. A lot of competition. And then you talked about it, the continuity on the defensive side. It's going to be really exciting because they were a solid unit despite all the injuries last year.
Yeah, no. The biggest storyline is obviously the fact that we have a completely different offense. Um, what I've seen the past, like this week from quarterback battle, is Tyreek Starks has been taking the majority of the first team reps throughout spring. However, for the majority, it has been split between the two of them taking reps. However, this week, Tyreek Starks was taking a lot of first team reps, so that is something to know. And then um, today in the post practice, I can't talk today, everybody. The post practice press conference, we got to ask our offensive coordinator, Coach Fry, about just what it's like having a whole new offense and being able to build from square one. And he was just talking about how in such a short amount of time, this whole group has developed chemistry together, and you can see that they've worked together since winter conditioning, since they've gotten to Boca Raton, and you could barely tell that this offense has only been here for about 6 weeks.
I mean, it's coming together quick. It seems like. I mean, I think what's helped it out a little bit is the fact that there is a little bit of continuity. I think I said a little bit like 10 times in a row there, but
Yeah.
we've got guys like Tyreek Starks, right, who's taken a jump. We've got B.J. Alexander. We've got Jay Sean Platt. The tight end room is pretty much all returned offensively. Frederico is helped. I mean, he's probably knowledge wise, he's probably 5 offensive linemen knowledge wise. So it's like, yes, we have a lot of newcomers, but I think there's just a bunch of veterans that are willing to try to, teach. And I think we lost Christian, but that's Wi-Fi. But the veterans are willing to teach, like the guys coming in here, and I think it's really helping build a good culture. I'm interested to see how guys who came in together like mesh. I don't know how the lineups exactly will work for the spring game, but like CJ Campbell came with Daughtry Johnson, right? I want to see like, is there chemistry there? Like, is CJ trying to run off of hit Richardson's side almost every time? Or when you look at Cam, is he trying to throw to his guy Tucker, right? Tucker came from, So is he trying, like, is the chemistry there with the guys who transferred in together? And I mean, it's possible. But, defensively, Drew, you meant, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. The depth that we're going to have is going to be key. I think, I don't know if you agree that I think injuries last year was a big problem for FAU.
No, I completely agree. And I've been covering mostly, besides the past week, I've been covering the defense while you've been covering the offense mostly. And I couldn't agree more. The depth this year is actually the best I've seen since I've been not covering, but just watching from afar FAU football. We got probably 6 cornerbacks that I'd say I can confidently see out there week one and can play some football. We got multiple safeties. Armani Eli Adams was an all first team Conference USA player a few years ago. Philip Dunham's coming over from the Big Ten, where he had 3 interceptions there. Then just guys like Darius McClendon isn't even penciled in as a starter, and he had a great year last year. Wendell Philord transferring in from Kaiser has been super impressive to our coaching staff. And then guys like Day Hill were really good last year, and Bugs Brown transferring in from Maine. So, and that's not even including the guys that are freshmen that could play right away. Coach Rock mentioned it. If you look at his track record, he started 5 true freshmen back when he was here at FAU. So guys like C.J. Hurd, who was a big bring-in for FAU football in the safety position. Kyle Boylston is somebody that FAU fans should be super excited about. He's going to be a two-sport player for football and baseball. And Mike Wright, who's going to play in the nickel. So a ton of, especially in the secondary, a ton of depth. But, they brought in, some more D-line pieces, which is already a deep group. The linebacker group is already really deep, bringing back the 4 contributors from last year. So I guess really the only position that maybe they look to bring in some more depth when the transfer portal is back on the second period would be edge, is my opinion.
And I think that's what we've seen with like a lot of the FAU teams over the past couple of years is the talent has been there, and the talent is there right now. But the question is, can they put it all together? Can the injuries not happen? Can there not be mistakes, bad quarterback play, whatever the issue is? I think in my opinion, it's a make or break year for Herman, at least to get to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to Tobey since we haven't gone to him yet. But Tobey, when you look at FAU football from maybe not just like an insider reporter perspective, but just an FAU student perspective, like is this like a year where like you want Herman to win? Is it what's the vibe like? What is it? Must win to a bowl game? Is it conference championship competing? What is it? If he doesn't get a 500 record, is he fired? Like, what do you think?
I would say that this is like a must-win year for him. In my eyes, it's a must-win year for me because it's most likely my last year coming up at FAU, and I'd love to see us make a bowl game, compete for a conference championship. So, I mean, I don't think if he has like another down year, he's going to get fired necessarily because I think and me and Drew talked about this before. He had Taggart's guys last year, let him build his own thing this year, and then just keep carrying it on from next year. So I wouldn't say it's like a must-win year for him, but he's got all the tools to really go out there and win probably 8 games or so. So I mean, I I just want to see us make one bowl game. That's what I want to see. So if we could do that, I mean, I'd consider that a win.
I think so too. Drew, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we know competing for conference championship is going to be tough with Tulane and Memphis, but at the end of the day, also our out of conference schedule isn't that difficult, and we could go 3-1 in that, and then we also don't have to play Tulane and Memphis in the regular season. So, what are your expectations, but also what is possible with this team?
Yeah, you talked about it yesterday. Just it is more than feasible to go 3-1 in the out of conference, which seems probably unlikely from last year. But I'm sure everyone's seen the graphic. We have the easiest schedule in FBS football next year. It is just not going to beat around the bush. It's an easy schedule, especially for being in the AAC, which is going to be probably the fifth best conference in college football next year, with the Pac-12 no longer a thing. But anything less than 3-1 is a disappointment. UConn won 2 games last year. FIU, no offense to FIU, but they are FIU. They're someone that we've just historically been able to beat. And then we have our FCS opponent, Wagner. And then we go into conference play. We don't have to play the two, in my opinion, best teams in the conference, which are Memphis and Tulane. Tulane's not going anywhere. They had a nice coaching hire, and they had a nice transfer portal. What's the word? Just a nice period during that. So, but the key is just stay healthy. We have a good coaching staff. The players need to buy in, which I do believe the culture is a little different this year. So, but the possibilities are, there's a team like I think some games maybe like UConn or like a trap game. It's very UConn beat Rice last year, and Rice wasn't bad. Rice made a bowl game. So games like that, just maybe like ECU, they're going to be better than a 2-win team last year. I think that was a little bit of a fluke. ECU is going to be a better football team this year, and just games like that. So it's not going to be easy. We still play UTSA, but anything less than a bowl game would be a huge disappointment, in my opinion.
I think we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right now. UTSA on the road, that's going to be difficult. But, you don't have to play North Texas on the road. You get North Texas at home. You get USF at home. Temple, yeah, I mean, that's not a difficult game you never know. I mean, they could come out this year with a really good team. It's tough. You can't really say that yet. But from a travel perspective, that's not the easiest. FAU, I mean, they got to go. They got to go to Connecticut, and then they got to go to Philadelphia. But football doesn't really travel like that too much. At least recently, Clemson was like the big out of conference travel last year. So I'm sure it won't really affect them too much, but it's just something to think about in the back of my head. But I don't know. I think for me, it's bowl game or bust, but I want to see them at least be in throughout most of the season competing for being at the top of the conference. Nothing's guaranteed. You can't stay there the whole year, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. But with football, what I really was happy about, what I heard from Coach Herman the other day was when we asked him about the transfer portal opening up this week for football. He mentioned that something along the lines of that he's happy with the school and the NIL. He didn't mention NIL investment directly, but he said something about making the players feel welcome here, it's good to hear a coach speak about FAU's NIL situation in a positive limelight, because it's not always been that way. So I mean, I'm sure Dusty wish he had more NIL to play with basketball, but Herman's making it work, and it's only up from here. And he's a guy that probably fundraises really well. That's why I wanted to have Birdman in here tonight. He was our Mike Birdman was supposed to be giving some great NIL insights, but that'll have to wait until next week. But at least from my perspective, it does seem like the school is making some solid NIL investments, both with the collectives and then working to find partnerships. Right, we see it a lot with We saw it a lot with basketball. Elijah's really capitalizing on it. Today he was at Acura signing autographs, but I think with football, we need to try to promote it more in the sense that we need our football players at Acura signing autographs and stuff like that. Because not only will the money benefit the players, but it's awareness too. Like we need to try to build up some fan base because I think that's the biggest issue. And I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on it with football. How do we try to build up the fan base? Because we all know the spring game is going to have 10 people, but that's fine. Most schools aren't going to have a good spring game attendance. But once the regular season comes around, football needs attendance, it needs fan support, and I just don't know necessarily how that's built. Any ideas from either of you? Jump in.
Yeah, I mean, it's cliche, but winning more football games brings more fans. But it's not that easy. There's teams that win a lot of games and their fan support isn't the best. I think you got to create momentum early. It's got to be an exciting brand of football. The football team that wins 9 games but only scores 13 points a game is not going to have the same fan base that scores 30 points a game, but they win 8 games. So I think it's just like basketball. Coach Jacobs, Dusty May, both their pressers at their new jobs this year, they said, "Hey, we're going to be an exciting brand that you guys are going to want to see." So it's got to be the same for football. It's not exciting when we're scoring 7 points against a 2-win ECU game last year. Yeah, and then you talked about it. Just building more brand awareness outside of the football field. There needs to be some more partnerships. The players need to be out and about more. I don't see them much on campus, but I think they could be out more, doing more things for the school. So I think that's probably a good start. Tobey, if you got anything, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much touched on all of it there. I mean, winning bottom line is just that's going to bring more fans. But, a way that a lot of just using it as an example, minor league baseball teams. I mean, that's a product nobody really wants to watch unless you're a big baseball fan and you want to watch some prospect coming up. I mean, it's pretty much just old guys just giving it one last season before they hang it up. And the way that they get the fans in is like you said, Drew, they do partnerships, they do stuff like giveaways. And, FAU football does do that. But then you get the kids who come in and, there's a T-shirt on the seat and then they grab it and they leave. So we need to do something like maybe like some sort of halftime show or something. I don't know what the whole logistics are with that. But if you could get like Kodak Black, they had him do a show outside of the stadium. You bring that into the stadium, then you probably have more people stay. So it's picking the right promotions to do. It's picking the right partnerships. And I think also just scheduling games like at 3 p.m. sometimes. I remember my freshman year, they were some games at 3 p.m. I think we've been better at doing that. And I know, it's not always they get to pick when exactly they schedule it, but having a night game would probably increase the amount of fans because who's going to want to stand in the 90-degree heat in September? I mean, I wouldn't, but so it's just going to take, a bunch of little things like that. And I mean, if they can win, then you don't even have to think about that. So
I just want to go back, Tobey. So you're saying the Syracuse Mets have no one that cares about them? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say the Syracuse, but we don't have to put my job in jeopardy like that. It's just that like same trend of just teams that don't necessarily have the best product putting something out there to intrigue the fans to kind of incentivize them to show up.
Well, I know. I'm sure the farm system's been looking good for the Mets. I'm sure
they've got some studs, so yeah. All right.
No, but I think for this season is going to be key because it's been bad football for a while. Bad football. The schedule setting up, the talent is there. The coach is there. Herman is an incredible coach. He's the guy that's turned around. He turned around Houston. He could have turned around Texas with more time. Sarkisian got to do it, but I think he's the guy to do it here. I'm confident, and I think this is the season. We'll just see how it all shakes out. It all starts though. It all starts this Saturday at noon. Go out, support the guys. It's usually hot, I will say, but hey. You know what? Get yourself a nice ice cold beverage and enjoy some good football. Teams will be probably dropped on game day, but it'll be good to watch. It'll be good to watch for sure. Me and Drew will be there. I don't know if Tobey will be there or not, but
I'll be there. I'm going to go out for sure.
Tobey
will support. So go hang out with Tobey in the stands. You can probably sit anywhere you want. Maybe run onto the field if you're lucky after the game. Not on the game.
No, not during the game.
All right. So that's enough football talk, in my opinion, for now. As much as I would love to talk about football, like all show, but we just can't do it. We got to talk about baseball. Toby's got some baseball cooking for us. At FAU, they had a tough loss to Miami a few nights ago, but they're back in action uh, tonight. Last night, Toby, what's up?
Tuesday night, they took that loss 14-6 to Miami. That was their third time playing the Hurricanes this season. So Coach Mack says it's a team they're very familiar with. I mean, they're going to go back and forth like that every season. So to have a 2-1 record against a team like Miami right now is huge. They have an 18-12 record right now through 30 games. So we're in the thick of this season right now. We're about in the middle of conference play, and they've been pretty good. They have a 5-4 conference record, and I believe they're tied for third in the standings. And they travel up to Wichita to take on Wichita State this weekend. So that'll be an interesting series. I believe that's the first time either of those two teams are meeting each other. And they're a good team. I mean, there's no guys on the roster anymore hitting for a clip over 300, but there's some players that are close. Christian Adams and Spencer Rich, I believe, both have around a 290 average. So they're hitting the ball really well. John Schroeder's hitting the ball really well. And, I mentioned this on the show a couple weeks ago, but they produce the same across the board. I mean, there's so much of even production from this team that it's so many different guys who could get going for them. And I mean, if they can go through this last bit of AAC conference play against UTSA and USF and take series against them, they could be setting themselves up really, really well for the postseason. So definitely a team to watch here. They're not the flashiest team, but they've got some great players and they've got some great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that. I mean, they don't really hit a lot of home runs, but they find ways to put it together. And they're not flashy. Like the starting pitching, they don't really go deep. There's guys like that come out like the sixth, seventh inning, and they're like strike out six straight batters. Toby, we got a question. Does FAU baseball have any players from the West Coast?
I don't know for sure. I know a lot of the guys are typically from the region. The guys out west typically go to schools like Stanford and stick to what is, for now the Pac-12. But I don't know if they got guys from out west, but there are a lot of really good players on the team. So I'll have to take a look at that.
And so going back to what I said though, with this, I love how it all works out for them most games, not all games at least yet this season, but they find ways to win, which makes it enjoyable to watch. I don't know necessarily. I mean, Toby, you'll be able to give me a little bit of a better answer. So the conference tournaments in Clearwater at the end of the year? There's some good teams in the conference: Wichita State, ECU. Is FAU competing for that necessarily, or are they competing for an at-large bid? My baseball playoff knowledge for college is honestly like kind of. I don't really know. Like, any idea?
They're definitely competing for a conference championship. I mean, if the way they're sitting in the standings right now, it's pretty even. The only teams above them, I believe, are ECU, UTSA, and USF. So, I mean, we play two of those three teams at the end of the season. So they're going to be competing for a conference championship in that regard. And then they're going to try to get to the regional. And if, they can get past the regional, they'll make it to the super regional for the first time in, I believe, 22 years. So they've got a chance to do something that they haven't done in a while. Whenever I'm down close to the dugout, there is a mutual feeling between the players that they can do it. So it'll be interesting. I mean, right now, it's a little early to kind of tell where they sit in the postseason. We are like 30 games into what is almost a 60-game season. Yeah. So, I mean, time will tell in a couple of weeks where they really stand within the postseason. But you're right. It's a very odd structure, the way that baseball does it compared to a lot of other sports in the NCAA.
But you know what? I think it gives a lot more teams more chances, at least from my view at it. What I liked I saw was the marketing that the baseball programs has been doing. The dollar dogs and the $3 beers the other night. I think that's excellent. I think that's what we saw with football, or what we were saying we need to see with football. Stuff like that, not necessary. I don't know if we can do that at a football game after a tailgate. I think that would just induce mayhem. I don't think Rob Rosselli would have a job after that marketing at the football game, but it worked spectacularly at the baseball game, and it got social media coverage. It got people in the stands. And it made people go out and watch baseball that I don't even think know how many innings are in a game. So I think they need to keep capitalizing on that. And also now baseball is in a chance where, they're building some fan support throughout the season, right? It's not the most flashiest team, but they're having some success. If they find a way to push it in through the postseason, maybe make a little bit of a run. You don't got to do anything crazy. There's a chance to really capitalize right now for baseball. If you look at the success of basketball, right, it's obvious. And now baseball had Nolan Shanwell last year in the pros, and so now this is just building up success, and football can follow that up as well. So I think somebody described FAU as like a bursting like scene for athletics, and I really think this is an example of it. We success, like we said, success in basketball, Nolan going to the pros, and now there's two chances. First, it's baseball finishing off this season, and then it's football. First, with the non-conference schedule, pushing through that, and then finding a way to push through that conference schedule, get back to a bowl game, and who knows what else they can do. I just think there's a lot of potential for FAU baseball. I just don't know if we'll get to see it in our time at the school when it fully gets to its full capabilities. But I think that's one last thing I wanted to talk about with baseball is like it's made some advancements on practice facilities and whatnot around the stadium with the cabanas and stuff like that. We're seeing the money go to baseball. Toby, what do you think of the facilities with baseball? And is there more that can be done or what?
There's definitely more that can be done, and I mean that probably goes with every single program here. I mean, just being a mid-major as a whole, there's definitely improvements that we can make all around. But the offensive facilities, they look like they've improved a lot. Um, they it's always not really the flashiest sport in general to just have facilities. I mean, the facilities that you see that are crazy are like the LSU's and the Wake Forest, just like the powerhouses. So I mean, they could definitely improve all around, but they're getting better. And as they get better, recruiting will get better too. But like you said, I mean, if they can succeed this year, it's going to be great for recruiting, and that's going to do better than any facility upgrade would do.
And I mean, so we saw the money's gone to baseball. FAU's working on the practice facility. Rumors for basketball, the renderings were shown at the gala. I didn't get to see them. Birdman, man, if you're listening, if you are going to listen to this, you really messed us up, man. I wanted to hear about those renderings of this practice facility in basketball. But we'll just have to take his word for it. I heard it's looking awesome, and so it's good to see the money being spread around athletics because that was the big thing when FAU won the final or went to the Final Four. Don't want to jump too far there, but we heard about all the money that FAU was going to be getting, and we knew some of that was going to stay with CUSA, but not all of it. So over the next, I'd say 5 or so years, if baseball keeps up its success, if football, football doesn't need any upgrades in my opinion. That stadium's awesome, everything about it. But Jacobs is sitting on something pretty big that the money's going to keep flowing for basketball if he can pick up the success. And the same thing for baseball. Get another player in the pros, make it 2, make it 3, make a run into the regionals. Brand awareness, baseball in paradise. I mean, baseball is all over the country, but who would want to go play baseball in upstate New York when you could play in Boca Raton? I mean, it's the same marketing for every sport. Just got to find ways to build the facilities and build everything around it. But Toby, any last thoughts on baseball before we kick it to a quick commercial break?
I'll give one more. You talk about guys to go to the pros like Nolan, and I think one guy that if any listeners out there don't know about FAU baseball too much, tune into a game and then late in the game see a guy Danny Trahey come out of the bullpen because through 14 appearances and 25 innings pitched, he has a 0.72 ERA, and that's just an absurd number. So just watch this guy pitch. He should get drafted, no problem. I mean, I would want this guy in my bullpen, so. I mean, I think that's the next big name to get, or not big name, but I think that's the next name to get taken out of FAU baseball. So just keep an eye on him.
I like Danny. I've seen him. I've seen him in highlights because this dude comes in after he's at the close. Is he closing games now? Is that what I've been seeing recently?
Yeah, he's been closing games recently,
Yeah.
but he has the ability to go multiple innings. I've seen him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen him do it, but they like him to go one inning. He usually is shut down for that inning, and that's how it's been recently.
Yeah, to start the year, he would come in he'd be like the 6-7 guy, and he pitched a couple multiple inning games this earlier in the year. So his versatility will carry him far. As we were talking about on Tuesday, we just don't want to see him overthrow his arm too much. But he's handling it well, and I know Coach Mack, he's old school coach, so he won't let him overwork themselves.
Yeah, he'll make sure he gets right.
Yeah. Coach Mack, though. I mean, before we get rid of baseball, we didn't even talk about Coach Mack. Tobey, it's your first year covering FAU baseball. What's your impressions on Coach Mack? You got to do the interview with him. Big leader at FAU, been here forever.
Yeah, he's been here for, I believe, 33 years and a head coach for about, I think this is his 16th season, but he's a legend. I mean, I knew that coming into this season reporting for the team. I mean, just being able to interview him was a really great opportunity, and he's very well spoken. He knows his stuff, as you can imagine, and I really would not want any other person as the coach for this team.
Yeah, no, he's been. I've only been. I went to the media day earlier in the year, but he was awesome. He's not. He doesn't give coach speak, and I think that's a lot of the same with baseball coaches. So Um, yeah, but baseball in paradise. I'm looking forward to seeing the end of the season, and we'll see where FAU ends up. I might have to go to that conference tournament in Clearwater if they're cooking come that time.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, that was baseball. That was good. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You mean after we close our loan, we've got 2 weeks to change our mind for any reason?
Any reason at all?
And the money store will cancel our second mortgage loan? Guaranteed?
That's right. Just return the money and the deal is off at no cost to you. We believe the money store's low fixed rates and quick approval for qualified homeowners is your best bet. Call our local toll-free number. Dial 1-800-LOAN-YES.
When you drive to Wendy's and order a single, you get more beef than the Whopper or the Big Mac. At Wendy's, you never have to ask, where's the beef?
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts, Mounds don't. Almond Joy's got real milk chocolate, coconut and munchy nuts too. Mounds got deep dark chocolate and chewy coconut. Ooh. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Peter Paul, Almond Joy's got nuts, Peter Paul, Mounds don't. Because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
When I was a kid, the closest you could get me to a fish was the aquarium. Now, thanks to McDonald's, I'm the expert. You see, most fish is not government inspected, but all McDonald's fish is U.S. government inspected grade A. And it's all prime white filet. No fish cakes, not ground up, not mixed with other fish. It's a filet.
Welcome back. It was good to talk about FAU baseball. I haven't dove deep into baseball like I really wanted to this semester, but we've been busy. We've been busy following football with their spring game coming up, and now we're going to talk about what I've really been busy with following basketball. In case you're just joining us, this is the Lastella Report on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm Robbie Lastella with my co-hosts Drew Shula and Tobey Schulman, breaking down everything FAU. You missed the spring game discussion and FAU baseball, but now we're on to what everyone seems to be interested in at the moment, at all times really now at FAU. Basketball, even though the season's not currently in motion, there's a lot in motion going on with men's hoops. But we don't really know. We don't really know exactly what exactly is in motion because we haven't heard anything about it. Coach Jacobs was supposed to announce his staff on Tuesday. Did not. I'm sure there's nothing too too big behind that. Might be some contractual issues or something. Family didn't work out. I don't know. But I expect that soon. The portal for basketball opened, or the dead period stopped today at noon. So that's going to be wide open again. So we should start hearing some noise about FAU recruits finally. And so hopefully in the next week or so, I'd say we get to hear something about coaching staff and incoming players. Drew, Tobey, I just want to, before we dive into everything, what's your thoughts been like over the last couple of weeks since Jacobs was introduced as our head coach? Any thoughts? Any feelings? What's the vibe like, boys?
It's been a roller coaster. I'm not gonna lie. We hire him. I'm very excited. Comes from excellent background of basketball knowledge and at winning programs. He has his press conference, and man, it got the whole fan base riled. It got us fired up. Everyone's excited. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh! Like we have the chance to do something special." Then the players enter the portal, and maybe some that we didn't expect. Just recently, Brennan Lorient, Isaiah Gaines. I didn't expect Giancarlo Rosado to transfer, but it happens. It's college basketball nowadays. But ultimately, I'm just gonna let him. I do have faith in him. I would be a fool to not, in my opinion. All the dude's done is just be successful everywhere he's been. I'm sure he knows how to navigate through it right now. I know that him and his staff are working extremely hard, and I know we'll bring in some good players. So it's not all doomsday at FAU. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you kind of touched on that perfectly, saying it was like an emotional roller coaster because he got us so jacked up with that press conference, and then he said, give me till Monday. And then Monday came, and all the players left. So it's definitely a weird situation here. But like I said on Tuesday, I'm just gonna let him cook and do his thing. He's a great recruiter. He's going to recruit. He has to recruit, or else we're not gonna have a team. And it's just part of the changing landscape of college basketball with these players leaving and following their coach or whatnot. But I'm not really too stressed out about it. It's just really weird to see all of these guys who stayed last year leave.
It's definitely a feeling, but I think the college basketball landscape has changed drastically, even since last year. Because think about it, the two-time transfer rule. Vlad Golden wouldn't have been able to transfer last year. Who else? Nick Boyd wouldn't have been able to transfer last year. Or no, yeah, Nick would have been able to transfer. But I think it would just Vlad, right? Was there anyone else two-time transfer on FAU
From previous years,
or on a team now? I'm just thinking.
I think. Well, I guess Greenlee graduated, but I think he transferred twice.
So, but anyway, so it's just Vlad. But think about that from that perspective, how much it's changed in the last year. So it wasn't even an option for him to even test the portal, let alone his concerns with visa. And I'm sure transferring with a student visa isn't easy. So that probably makes it a little bit easier for him. But when you look at the guys for FAU so far, the only one that's transferred so far with a confirmed destination is Giancarlo Rosado, who went to Charlotte. You can't be mad at that. Although I see Tobey's face. There's feelings to be had for FAU fans. That is 100% sure. A conference rival is a conference rival, and honestly, I am ecstatic that FAU is at a point where fans have conference beefs and player storylines, and it's going to be awesome next season. Even there's just so many things to look forward to off the court. But going back to G, I'm not really too mad at it. You look, it's amazing for him from the sense that he most likely talked to Jacobs and he may or may not have been a big fit in the system. You go to Charlotte. If you're transferring to Charlotte, you're going there with the sense that you're going to play. And who knows? It's a chance for him to reset. He doesn't have to go down a level. He doesn't have to go to D2 or anything crazy like that. He gets to go to Charlotte, which is not too far from Florida, where he's from. So I hope it works out for him. In the long run, it'll work out to be a win-win if he stays there. The reason I say if he stays there is because Charlotte retweeted his or posted his thing with the crown and sitting on the throne, and now it's not up on Twitter anymore. I don't know if that's anything to read into or not, but something to keep an eye on in this crazy world of college basketball. Um, Giancarlo Rosado's commitment post from Charlotte was unretweeted or taken down, whichever you want to choose. Who knows? But you can't speculate too much. At the moment, G is gone. But what FAU needs to focus on now in terms of players in the portal is keeping the guys who are here, at least here in the sense that they're not on another team yet. Because we heard today that Elijah Martin is going to Florida. Drew, Tobey, any thoughts on Elijah? Do you think he stays? Do you think he benefits from staying? Do you think he benefits from transferring? Anything along those lines?
I'm gonna give a cop out answer. I don't know what he does because I don't think anyone knows what anyone's gonna do anymore. Did I think that Giancarlo Rosado would transfer to Charlotte a week ago? No, no, couldn't you couldn't pay me for me to believe that information. But speaking about what I think he benefits on, I do think he benefits on staying. He has the chance to be the star of the conference next year with a coach that has proven that he can get guards to the NBA and have them play at an All-American level. Talk about Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler. These guys weren't, they were good. They were good recruits, but they weren't certified stars before he got his hands on them. He made them into NBA prospects. So I do think he could benefit from staying. He is getting paid. It's not like he's not going to get any NIL. He's going to have NIL here. That's not an issue. So I do think him staying, just being an undersized guard, having familiarity with, the program, the area, just the school in general. He's been here. So I do think he would benefit from staying rather than being having to go to a whole new team, get new chemistry with the guys. I just think he'll benefit from staying more than leaving.
100%. I mean, he no doubt benefits from staying here with all the NIL attention he gets down here, but it just I can't shake this thought that if a school like UF comes in and offers him something more, that he won't take it. Especially a school like UF. I mean, they have such a good coach and they're building like a great program. They're rebuilding their program there. And if he sees like a large number, he sees a six-figure number, I mean, do you guys think he stays? I mean, I don't think so. I think if a school's willing to shell him out something like that, there's not a chance that he stays.
I think he did with all of his NIL collectives and whatnot here. He did make six figures, but he had to work for that. He had to go and do autograph signings at Acura. He had to go pose with acai pineapples. And Elijah's a very personable guy. I'm sure he enjoys meeting people, going out, promoting himself. But if you go to Florida and they say, yeah, the Gator Collective or whatever it's called is just going to write you this check, go play basketball, do whatever else. It's a lot easier than saying, okay, yeah, you have to do basketball. Yeah, you also have to do school. And yeah, also you have to do X media appearance, X media appearance, X media appearance. Oh, yeah. And you also have to do your regular media appearance with basketball media. So it's like, it's a lot when you really think about what these players who are college, athletes have to do. I mean, I think about it from a personal level. I mean, adding, I mean, it's fun probably to go out and make money, but he's got a lot on his plate, and it's just, I don't know. I think it would be easy for him to just go out and go to a school with a big collective where he doesn't have to go out and work like that. But he's the big name that I think FAU, in my opinion, has the best chance at keeping. He does. He's gone out and worked. He's done it. He can do it on the court and off the court here in Boca Raton. So, but when you look at a guy, when you look at Vlad, I'm a little more concerned about that transfer portal door opening, and that is no shot at Vlad. I mean, there's no shame in any of these players hitting the transfer portal, going and making the most out of themselves. Because when they came to FAU, I doubt any of them had the idea in the back of their mind, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to make six figures while I'm in college and pay my mom's car bill off, or X and Y and Z. But I think there's so many opportunities for Vlad out there right now. FAU would have to do a phenomenal, and it's not a shot at FAU if they're not able to keep him, but there's just so many programs, so many opportunities out there for Vlad that whether it's the NBA, whether it's another program in college, or the real wild card is Europe. I doubt he does that this year, but once he's done with college, I really think Vlad has a market in Europe. Um, I think FAU is going to make a play to try to bring him back, but I just don't know if they have enough juice at the end of the day. But the good thing is that Jacobs is a really, really good international recruiter. And I'm not trying to say Vlad is dime a dozen, because he's not in any sense. But Jacobs isn't going to just sit and do nothing. If Vlad does leave and Giancarlo stays at Charlotte, he's going to need a big man. And he's going to go out and find one, whether that's in the portal, whether that's in Estonia, whether that's in Latvia or wherever. He's going to go out and he's going to go turn over the stones and find them. And the last big superstar in the portal is John L. What do you guys think about this? So he's the only one who didn't put that he's returning to FAU in his post. I don't read into that too much. Do you guys just think that's him saying, I'm not coming back at all? I'm not even considering it. And do you guys actually think there's a chance he goes pro this year?
I think it's just clear as day that he's going to go, whether it's pro or just somewhere else in the transfer portal. I don't think the way he played the last 3 weeks of the year helped his draft stock one bit. So I don't think pro is a viable option for him this year. I think transfer portal, he'll get his money somewhere. For me, I'm looking at a school, like a Kansas State. I think that makes a little bit of sense. Jerome Tang, saw him in person when we played them in the Elite Eight. He's a player. He's a player's coach. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't see just an avenue where John L. Davis comes back to FAU. The money's there at other places that unfortunately we cannot match. And I think in general, it's probably just the show's over for John L. Davis here. That's my opinion.
Yeah, he's most likely G League bound, I'd say, this year. Like Drew said, the way he played, I don't really think he gets drafted. And in my opinion, I don't know if this is someone who really wants to stay in college and learn from a whole nother coach. And the way that he played down the stretch of some games makes me think he might not be the most coachable player. Sure, he's got all the talent in the world, but he may not be the most coachable player. And some coaches like Tang might look at this guy and look at his film and be like, yeah, I don't know if that's someone I can really trust down the stretch of a game. And that might just be something that he has to go to the G League or go overseas and learn how to sharpen his skills up a little more, because he probably could be an NBA player. But right now, I don't think he's proven that at all.
It's really debatable. It's kind of tough he had that rough end of the season, because he could have capitalized, and this draft class is not the most strongest. There's some players hit or miss, but we were talking about this the other night. Zach Edey might not even get drafted, so there's no guarantees for anybody, no matter what you do stats-wise. The NBA is a tough fit, and there's only so many make it for a reason. I think all of them really do benefit from coming back to college for another year. I don't see Vlad or John L. coming back to FAU. If they do, what that shows me is that FAU is continuing to make a serious investment in basketball, because we saw it with Jacobs, right? They could have went out and did a cop-out hire, assistant from unqualified assistant. He was an assistant, so that's not the best example, but unqualified assistant, or some could say that even going in-house was the cop-out move. So it's like FAU went out there and did that. They went out and got the bold head coach. And so now with NIL and stuff, it's just there's a lot to work with. If they come back, it shows me that it's working, and it's working well. But there's still some other guys like Nick Boyd. I think he does end up coming back along with Elijah. They've really been hand in hand with those NIL deals, doing them together, and I think they both realize that number one, they can maximize, they can do well monetarily down here, but they can also maximize playing on the court and probably score the like get. I say scoring. That's not the most important thing. Dusty would hate to hear me talk about it that way, but maximize their games in the most way here at FAU. Which is important. Same thing with a guy like Belo, right? I mean, he's played here a while. If he stays here in the system, it's just rising up. He can continue to play well. I can see him coming back too. But at the end of the day, I'm glad to see that they're putting their name out there, trying to capitalize and make the most out of their opportunities. But at the end of the day, there are opportunities here in Boca Raton. It's just a matter of whether or not they can. The other programs have greater offers, I guess. But at the end of the day, not all of these guys are going to come back. Jacobs is going to have to make some moves, whether that be in the portal, high school recruits. That's it. Those are two options. Can't get anyone else. But yeah, who knows? After soon, they might be bringing in grad students and Navy veterans and who knows what into the college basketball realm. But Jacobs is going to have to bring in some guys. Drew, Tobey, it's tough to predict players, so I'm not going to say, yeah, bring me Miro Little, but is there any type of players that you want Jacobs to bring in? Do you want another Vlad? Do you want a crazy three-point shooter? What do you want to see here, Drew?
Oh, I love all of that. Give me another Vlad. That'd be great. Yeah, but I think the most realistic avenue, and it's an avenue we've gone before, and it just makes so much sense monetarily, playing time wise, just the potential of this is the player, and you said it, the player that did not work out at the Power 6 school, the player that was a 4-star recruit at Baylor that didn't have problems, but they were a little young, maybe immature at the time, maybe they just weren't good enough at the time. Give me that player. Give me the player that's averaging 2 points a game at Baylor. It doesn't sound all that great, but that 2 points a game goes at Baylor. It's a solid starter in the American, and we could use some solid starters. So give me those players. But give me some players from Division II. Give me some players from JUCO. We've made it work before. You talked about Josh Omajafo. It's rumored that Jordan Key is supposed to be an assistant coach on John Jacobs' staff. Omajafo is one of the best players in Division II last year, and FAU is a perfect destination for him. Go with the coach that helped you have a huge breakout year, and play at a school that has national relevance in a decent conference in the American. So those are some names I'm looking at. Even give me some of the guys that were looking at FAU before Dusty May left. I still think they have some ties to the school. It's not just they want to follow the coach; they want to follow the program. I saw Roger McFarland. He had a good year at Southeastern Louisiana. I'd want to look at him. And then you just mentioned, a guy like Miro Little, if we could find a way to get him in, would be huge. And there's another Baylor transfer that's in the portal right now, and I think we have a chance at getting him. Off the top of my head, I do not have his name, but he averaged 2 points a game at Baylor. That's someone I was hinting at. So someone like that. I just want the bounce back guy from the Power 6.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I got to say anything more other than that. I mean, you kind of touched all the bases there, Drew. But I just want a solid all around player. That's really it. Don't give me a guy who's just one dimensional and can get shut down. Like whether that's a 3-point shooter who may not be on one night. We need somebody who could do everything. So, especially with the roster that we have now, we don't really have one. So we need people who could do everything.
It's going to be interesting to see who he brings in, how the roster forms together, who the coaches are. The next part of that is scheduling, and that's what I'm most interested in. Who are we going to play outside of our conference opponents? Are they going to get an invitation to another big tournament? I hope so. It's huge for FAU, not even from the sense of boosting the net or whatever, but playing in these places promotes the brand. It promotes the school. And it's something that FAU, they did play in these smaller little tournaments, MTEs, before last year, but they didn't play in the Jimmy V Classic. That is an incredible tournament for FAU to play in. And I think the goal for FAU really should I mean, it's a tough goal to set, but they got to try to get to the Maui. The Maui is awesome. Memphis is in there this year, so AAC teams do get invited. It's not a power dance, and it's one of the biggest in regular season tournaments there is. So I think, it's not going to happen this year for FAU, but there's benefits for playing a schedule like that, both from a net perspective and from a national awareness perspective. They got the Field of 68 Classic in there in Charleston this year. So, boys, we'll get to see Chris Mack from Charleston versus John Jacobs. That's a game I'm going up to. I hope so. I don't know what I'll be doing in the spring, but that's scary to think about. But are you guys going to go to Charleston, or like I would go to Charleston? That's going to be a fun game to go to.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking at it. Chris Mack, him rejoining, being a head coach again is super fun. And then obviously I'm going to be John Jake's biggest fan as long as he's doing work here at FAU. So that's just super exciting. Just going up to a game like that, I'll definitely be looking at it. Just back on the out of conference scheduling, I'd love if we could find a way to get in. The ESPN Invitational was perfect last year. It was perfect. We played Butler, a good basketball team who had NCAA tournament chances. We played Texas A&M, who was super competitive in the tournament and was a good team this year. And then we just beat the brakes off Virginia Tech. We had the chance to play Iowa State, who was a top 5 team in the country this year. If we could find a way to get in a tournament like that, just using our name, just based off the past 2 years, would be awesome. We definitely need to capitalize on some tournaments like that if we have the chance.
Bring back the Great Alaskan Shootout. I want to see it. I want to see FAU. I mean, FAU set themselves up with this April Fool's post. I need FAU now playing on a battleship in the Atlantic. Give me FAU versus, I don't know, Navy, Army. Both of those schools they're not in our conference for basketball, but I don't care. Schedule it anyway. Make it a fun out of conference game. Put it on a boat. Dolphins, and the loser walks the plank. I don't know. But I need it. I need the energy. I need eyes on the program still. I think that's something Jacobs has to capitalize. That is not really something that's written, set in stone how to capitalize on. There's momentum here that if you don't win, man, it's going to be tough to bring that momentum back. And I just don't know if there's going to be a better opportunity than right now in front of you. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Scheduling, roster, coaching, all of that. And it'll all probably happen over the next month or so. That's why I love college basketball. I mean, even though the games aren't being played, it's still really interesting. I mean, man, just look at all the other stuff that's been going on. We'll close with a little bit of other stuff. But, I mean, college basketball world has been wild. It has been absolutely wild. And FAU is right in the midst of that. And it's kind of a good thing. I don't know. It's kind of good to be in the madness. It means you're important. But that's about it for basketball. I don't know any last thoughts for you guys before we head into the next round of portal season for basketball.
I think I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Well, that was basketball. That was FAU basketball for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a breakdown. Make sure to rewind back if you're just tuning in now and catch baseball and football. Nice breakdown of FAU athletics, the big three. We didn't really touch on softball though. They've been ranked. Most of this, or not most of this year, but recently. I don't know. I got to get out to a game. Christian, with his Wi-Fi issues, was supposed to be our softball expert. He's been out to a couple games this year. So if FAU can have a fourth sport, give it to me. Give me beach volleyball. Give me the hockey was good earlier in the year. I'm here for it. Give me everything. I'm here for it all at FAU. But it was good. It was a good FAU breakdown, boys. It was good talking about our school is doing well. It really is. It really is. But man, that when you look at the world of, I wanted to bring this up before we close out. What do you guys think, Coach Cal in Arkansas? Do you guys think he's going to succeed? I got to throw this in here before we leave.
It's hard for him not to succeed. That's my opinion. But man, that's just crazy stuff. There's no way around it. That's crazy stuff. What's happening? He's a personality. Arkansas is a crazy school. Just leaving for another SEC school it's just nuts. It's like the national championship happened the day after, and that wasn't even the biggest storyline. Coach Cal leaving was the biggest storyline. So just crazy stuff. And then Scott Drew was supposed to go to Kentucky. That was the biggest. That was the biggest. Tweet. All this Twitter stuff coming out. That's what it was. In the back of my head, Coach Jake has said it. Mark Few and Scott Drew. What do? They stayed at their programs. They built it themselves. I never thought it was going to happen. And then Scott Drew staying at Baylor.
Yep.
Crazy stuff. So I think there's still some huge names involved with the Kentucky coaching search. My bad. Like Billy Donovan, Rick Pitino. I think those are names to look out for.
I saw that on Twitter. Forrest Tucker TV from ABC 36 in Central Kentucky. He said sources close to Rick Pitino tell ABC 36 that the former Kentucky head coach is very interested in another stint at the helm to lead the Wildcats. Again, that's per Forrest Tucker from ABC 36 Kentucky. That would be wild. I love me some Rick Pitino. I love me some college basketball rumors. I just don't know. Is Rick Pitino? He's probably got 6, 7-ish years left. I don't know how old he is. He's getting up there, though.
He's
Tobey, you're our Northeast delegate. Do you think he's going to Kentucky? What do you think?
I have no idea who's going to take this job. I mean, we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday too. There's so many names getting thrown up, but I'm confident that whoever does take this Kentucky job will win a national championship before Calipari at Arkansas, if that is going to happen at all. You see Cal take early tournament exits in these recent years when he's been at Kentucky, which is arguably one of the best situations you can be at, recruiting and just overall program history. There's really nothing better than schools like Kentucky and Duke. So I think whoever comes in is just going to be served up something on a silver platter, and they're going to have a much better shot at a championship. And I think it's going to happen way before it does at Arkansas.
It's possible. I think that would mean that the brand of Kentucky was what was cooking and not Cal. I guess it's to be seen. It's kind of like the Patriots with Belichick. But again, that's what I said this before. I love me some college basketball. I love all the rumors. I love everything that develops. So yeah. But we're winding down here. A couple more minutes on the Lastella Report for tonight, guys. My weekend plans are going to consist of this: spring game on Saturday, Masters on Sunday. Anything else different for you guys?
We're in the same boat, man.
Yeah, exact same.
Well, folks, thank you for being along the ride with us for tonight. Thank you for listening to us ramble about FAU. We are very passionate about it, if you cannot tell. A lot going on with all across athletics, and we'll see what develops with all of them. Baseball in season, football off season, and basketball off season. So, a lot going on, and stay tuned with the world of college basketball too. For Drew Shula, Tobey Schulman, I'm Robbie Lastella. This is the Lastella Report. We will catch you next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night at 9 p.m. after the Bleacher Brothers show. Have a good night, everybody. Sign